At exactly 8:47 a.m. on June 14, 1944, 3 miles west of Carentan in France, a Sherman tank sat motionless behind a collapsed stone barn. The engine ticked as it cooled, the air inside smelling of burnt metal and sweat. Through the commander's periscope, Corporal James Hewitt scanned the tree line 240 yards out, dark and unsettlingly silent. He couldn't have known that in the next 8 minutes his loader would perform an act so unorthodox, so against every piece of doctrine, it would be deemed reckless by some, brilliant by others, and ultimately studied in armored warfare courses for decades. The Germans were out there waiting patiently, and Hewitt's crew was about to face something no amount of training had prepared them for. Survival seemed a distant hope. Private First Class Danny Kowalski was no born soldier. He was a grocery clerk from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a skinny kid with quick hands and a knack for organizing. His father ran a small corner store in Polish Hill, and from age 12, Danny worked the register, stocked shelves, and rotated inventory. He could spot an expired can from across an aisle and restock a shelf faster than anyone in the neighborhood. At basic training, he was mocked, called grocer, and laughed at for arranging his footlocker like a store display. His drill sergeant thought him obsessive, his bunkmates strange. But when Danny volunteered for tank duty and became a loader, something clicked. A Sherman's turret was just another cramped stockroom. The ammo rack's shelves, the shells, products. In combat, speed wasn't about brute strength. It was about economy of motion, knowing exactly where to reach without looking. War had a cruel way of turning odd skills into lifelines, and Danny's fast, practiced grocery store hands were about to rewrite the manual on how quickly a Sherman could operate. The bocage country of Normandy was a challenging landscape for American armor. Every field was a potential kill zone, bordered by thick earthen walls and ancient vegetation that obscured sight lines and turned every advance into a blind gamble. The Germans knew this terrain intimately, fortifying it, mining it, and positioning their anti-tank guns in concealed positions that made them nearly invisible until they fired. In the last 48 hours, the 2nd Armored Division had faced significant challenges in this sector alone, with damaged Shermans dotting the landscape. The Sherman's 75mm gun was effective, but only if the crew survived long enough to get a shot off. German crews were often faster, better trained, more experienced. The weather wasn't helping. Morning fog clung to the low ground, reducing visibility to under 200 yards. The ground was soft from 2 days of rain, mud sucking at tracks and making repositioning sluggish and loud. Intelligence reported at least 2 German tanks and multiple infantry positions in the woods ahead. The mission was simple: push through, secure the crossroads, support the infantry advance. Nothing survived here for long. But Hewitt's crew had one advantage the Germans didn't know about yet. Something so small and insignificant, it hadn't even been noticed during morning inspection. Danny Kowalski had rearranged the ammo. The German machine gun opened fire first, a sustained burst sparking off the Sherman's front armor. Hewitt's voice cracked over the intercom. "Gunner, tree line, 1,100, 220 yards, infantry position behind logs. Sergeant Bill Marsh." The gunner traversed left. The turret whined. Through his sight, he found the target, a dark, horizontal shape, muzzle flashes, winking like fireflies. "Identified! Fire!" The 75mm bucked, the breech slamming backward with a metallic crash that rattled teeth. Smoke filled the turret. Through the haze, Marsh saw the hit, the log pile disintegrating. But before the smoke even cleared, Danny's hands were already moving. Most loaders grabbed shells from wherever they could reach, usually the ready rack on the turret floor, a random mix of AP and HE. Danny didn't. His hand went exactly 6 inches left, pulled an HE round from a position he'd marked that morning with a chalk line, spun it, and slammed it home. The breech closed with a clean clack. "Up!" Danny shouted. 3 seconds! Marsh blinked. Standard reload time was 5 to 7 seconds. sometimes 10 under stress. 3 seconds. Target. Second position. 10 o'clock. 180 yards. The gun fired again, and Danny was already reaching for the next shell. The Germans hadn't expected the second shot so fast. A German anti-tank gun crew was repositioning when the HE round detonated 8 feet from their position, disrupting their efforts. Hewitt spotted more movement, infantry scrambling through the hedgerow, trying to flank left. "Gunner! Hedge! 9 o'clock! 150 yards! Troops in the open!" Marsh traversed. Fired. The canister round created a wide area of effect in the hedgerow. "Up!" Danny's voice was steady, calm. 2.5 seconds. Another target. Another shot. The rhythm was building now. Identify. Traverse. Fire. Reload. But it wasn't just speed. Danny had done something no one in the manual had ever considered. He'd reorganized the entire ammo storage by sequence of likely use. He rounds on the left side of the ready rack, exactly where his left hand naturally fell after the breech opened. AP rounds staggered on the right. Canister rounds in the sponson rack, marked with tape, positioned for a blind grab. Every motion was economical. No wasted movement. No searching. No hesitation. The fourth engagement came at 8:51 a.m. A German half-track trying to withdraw across open ground. An AP round connected. The vehicle lurched, rolled, and stopped. Figures exited. Marsh engaged them with a coaxial machine gun, but the enemy was learning. Return fire intensified. A Panzerschreck rocket screamed past the turret, missing by inches. Mud gazered up on the left side. A near miss from something heavier, probably mortar fire. Hewitt ordered the driver to reverse 20 yards, repositioning behind thicker cover. The fog was lifting, which was concerning. It gave them better sightlines, but it also meant the Germans could see them clearly now. Contact. Right side. German tank. Hull down. 280 yards. Marsh's stomach tightened. A German tank could penetrate a Sherman's frontal armor at that range. The German tank's gun was already traversing towards them. It was a race now. Pure and simple. Whoever fired first lived. Gunner, AP, track junction. Marsh found the target, the German tank's lower hull just visible above a berm. A small, precise shot. Danny's hand moved. The AP round was already coming up. He'd anticipated the call, knew what was needed before Hewitt finished speaking. The shell slid home. "Up!" Marsh fired. The round struck low, exactly where it needed to. The German tank's track was damaged in a shower of metal links. The tank slewed sideways, immobilized, its gun swinging wildly off target. "Hit! Reload! Finish him!" Another AP round. Danny didn't even look at the rack. His hand knew. Up. The second shot impacted the turret ring. Smoke poured from the German tank's hatches. 5 engagements in 4 minutes, but the Germans weren't done. A second German tank appeared from the tree line. This one moving, its turret already aligned. The first shot came before Hewitt could call it. The round hit the Sherman's right track assembly. The tank lurched violently, throwing the crew against their stations. Hewitt's head cracked against the periscope mount, blood running down his temple. "We're tracked. Driver, rock us. Give Marsh an angle." The driver gunned the engine, spinning the left track, pivoting the disabled Sherman slowly, too slowly. The German tank was reloading. Marsh traversed right, hard, found the German tank in his sight. 240 yards, moving target. Hull down behind a rise. Steady, steady. Danny already had the AP round in his hands, waiting, watching the breach. Ready. The German fired again. The round hit the turret's side armor, a glancing blow that screamed off into the morning air, leaving a deep gouge but no penetration. Luck, pure luck. Fire. Marsh's shot caught the German tank in the driver's viewport. The tank jerked to a halt. Stopped. Burning. 6 engagements. Danny's hands were shaking now. Not from fear, but from the sheer kinetic repetition. Grab, spin, load, grab, spin, load. His shoulders burned. His back screamed. The turret was a furnace, temperatures spiking past 110 degrees from the heat of the gun. But he didn't stop. Movement! Infantry! Multiple contacts! 100 yards, pushing through the smoke. HE rounds now. 3 in succession. Danny grabbed them without looking, muscle memory taking over completely. Each shot bracketed the advancing Germans, forcing them back, breaking their assault. Hewitt counted the magazines. We're at 60% ammo. Watch your calls. But the Germans weren't retreating. They were regrouping. Somewhere in that tree line, someone smart was coordinating. Someone who had just watched 2 German tanks become inoperable and was now planning something different, something worse. Then everything went wrong. Danny reached for the next AP round, muscle memory guiding his hand to the right side rack, and his fingers closed on empty air. He blinked, looked down. The rack was empty. He'd burned through the ready ammunition faster than he'd calculated. The remaining AP rounds were in the hull's sponson racks, awkward positions requiring him to crouch, reach down past the turret basket, grab shells blind from storage bins designed for bulk carry, not combat speed. His stomach dropped. Up, he called automatically, buying time, but there was no shell in the breach. Marsh glanced back, saw Danny's face, and understood immediately. Hewitt, we're out of ready AP. He's got to reload from sponson. Hewitt's voice stayed level, but there was an edge now. How long? 8 seconds. Maybe 10. 8 seconds was an eternity. 8 seconds was enough time for a German tank crew to fire twice. 8 seconds meant danger if something armored appeared in that tree line. And something was appearing. Through the smoke, through the clearing fog, a 3rd German tank nosed forward, painted in ambush camouflage. It moved slowly, deliberately, its commander visible in the cupola, scanning for targets. Contact. German tank dead ahead. 200 yards. Danny was already moving, dropping to his knees, reaching down into the sponson, his fingers searching for the AP rounds he'd stacked there. His hand found one, pulled. The shell was heavy, awkward from this angle. He lifted it, spun, rammed it home. Up! 7 seconds. Marsh fired. The shot went wide, clipped the German tank's fender, doing nothing. The German tank stopped, its gun tracking toward them now. Steady, patient, professional. Danny's hands dove back into the sponson. This was bad. Really bad. Danny didn't think. He just moved. His right hand found an AP round, yanked it up, loaded. Up! Marsh fired. The German tank's turret rang like a bell. Penetration. The German tank shuddered, stopped moving. Target left. Infantry. 80 yards. Danny's hand went low. Grabbed he from the sponson, without looking. Loaded. Up. The gun barked. Figures scattered. Another group. Same area. He loaded. Fired. Loaded. Fired. A German staff car tried to flee across the field. An AP round. The vehicle became inoperable. 3 Germans broke from cover, running. Marsh switched to the coaxial machine gun, engaging them. Movement. Right flank. 120 yards. He. Up. Fire. Danny's world narrowed to motion. Grab, spin, load, grab, spin, load. His hands were automatic now, his breath coming in short gasps. Sweat poured down his face, stinging his eyes. Another target, another engagement. The rhythm was brutal, relentless. Hewitt's voice kept calling targets. Marsh kept firing. Danny kept loading. 10, 11, 12. The tree line was thinning. The Germans were pulling back, finally breaking contact. Smoke hung over the field like a shroud. Burning vehicles, scattered equipment. The Sherman's gun was glowing red at the muzzle brake. Then Hewitt's voice cut through, sharp. "Cease fire! Cease fire! Contact broken!" Danny collapsed against the turret wall, gasping. His arms felt like lead. But it wasn't over. 30 seconds of silence. Then Hewitt's voice, quiet and tense. "Something's wrong. They pulled back too clean, too organized." Marsh scanned through his sight. Nothing moved in the tree line. No muzzle flashes, no engine sounds, just smoke and stillness. "Maybe they're done," Danny whispered, hopeful. "No," Hewitt's voice was cold. "Someone smart is out there watching us, waiting for us to move." And he was right. 340 yards out, concealed in a drainage ditch behind the burned-out German staff car, a German tank commander named Oberleutnant Klaus Ritter lay perfectly still. He'd watched the entire engagement through binoculars, watched the American Sherman operate with impossible speed, watched his comrades face the consequences. He'd counted the shots, noted the rate of fire, calculated the ammo expenditure. The Americans had to be low, had to be. His German tank sat 60 yards behind him, hull down in a depression, its engine idling low, nearly silent. His crew knew the drill, patience. Let the enemy think it's over. Let them relax. Let them start moving, then engage them. Ritter watched the Sherman through his binoculars. The commander's hatch was still closed. Smart. The tank wasn't moving. Also smart. But they'd have to move eventually. Their track was damaged. They'd need recovery. They'd need to reposition. And when they did, he'd be waiting. Inside the Sherman, Hewitt made his decision. "Driver, back us up slow, 10 yards. Get us behind that barn wall." The engine revved. The left track spun. The Sherman began to pivot. Ritter smiled. "Gunner, target, range 340. Lead him." The German tank's gun moved slowly, precisely. Hewitt saw it, a glint of movement in his periscope. His blood froze. Contact. German tank. Concealed position. 340 yards. Traverse right. Marsh swung the gun. Found nothing. "I don't see him." Ditch behind the wreck. Danny's hand was already moving. An AP round was coming up from the sponson, but his arms were exhausted. The shell slipped. He caught it, loaded it, fumbled. Up! 4 seconds. Too slow. Both guns fired simultaneously. The German round hit first, struck the Sherman's upper front armor at a shallow angle, deflected upward, screamed over the turret by inches. The impact rocked the tank violently. Hewitt's helmet cracked against the hatch rim. Marsh's round hit low, struck the berm in front of Ritter's German tank, showering it with dirt and debris, but didn't penetrate. "Reload!" Danny grabbed another AP round. His hands were cramping. The shell felt twice as heavy. He muscled it into the breech. Up! The German tank was reversing now, trying to back into deeper cover. Ritter knew he'd missed his chance. His crew was scrambling. "Fire!" Marsh led the target, aimed where the German tank would be in 2 seconds. Squeezed. The round caught the German tank mid-reverse, punched through the thinner side armor, penetrated the engine compartment. Flames erupted. The German tank lurched to a stop. 3 figures exited. Ritter was one of them, stumbling, his uniform smoking. Marsh tracked them with the coaxial machine gun. His finger hovered over the trigger. "Let them go," Hewitt said quietly. The Germans disappeared into the tree line. Silence fell. Real silence this time. Danny slumped against the turret wall, his chest heaving. His hands were bleeding. Cuts from the shell casings. The metal edges of the racks. He hadn't noticed until now. 13 engagements. 1 damaged Sherman. 0 casualties. Hewitt keyed the radio. "Ironside 6. This is Ironside 22. Contact broken. Position secure. Requesting recovery vehicle for track repair. Over. The response crackled back. Copy 22. Recovery en route. What's your status? Hewitt looked at his crew, looked at Danny, who was still trembling, looked at the gun, still smoking. Operational. Only then did Danny lower his head. His arms hung useless at his sides. The adrenaline was draining away now, leaving behind pure exhaustion. The turret smelled like burnt powder, hot metal, and sweat. Spent shell casings littered the floor. He counted them without meaning to. 37. 37 rounds in just under 12 minutes. Marsh cracked the loader's hatch. Fresh air poured in. Cool, clean, impossibly sweet. Danny gulped it down. You okay? Marsh asked. Danny nodded. Couldn't speak yet. The recovery vehicle arrived 40 minutes later. A maintenance sergeant climbed onto the Sherman, inspected the damaged track, and whistled low. You boys got lucky. Another inch, and you'd have lost the whole drive sprocket. Captain Brenner, the company commander, arrived an hour after that. He walked the battlefield with Hewitt, counting the wrecks, the evidence. 3 German tanks, 2 half-tracks, 1 staff car, multiple infantry positions. He climbed up on the Sherman's hull, looked at Danny through the open hatch. You're the loader? Yes, sir. How many rounds did you put through this gun? 37, sir. Brenner glanced at his watch, did the math. His eyebrows rose. That's not possible. The manual says. I know what the manual says, sir. Hewitt's voice was quiet, but firm. He rearranged the ammo racks by hand this morning, without asking permission. Brenner stared at Danny for a long moment. Then he smiled. Show me. What Danny Kowalski did that morning changed American armor doctrine forever. Within 3 weeks, his ammunition arrangement was being tested at the Ordnance Department's proving grounds in Aberdeen. Within 6 months, it was official doctrine. Taught to every loader in every tank school from Fort Knox to Fort Benning. The Kowalski Load, they called it, though Danny never liked the name. Reorganizing ammunition by mission probability and hand path efficiency reduced average reload times from 6.2 seconds to 3.8 seconds across the entire armored force. That might not sound like much, 2 seconds. But in tank operations, 2 seconds was the difference between firing first and reacting, between 13 successful engagements and facing an overwhelming force. Modern armor crews still train using variations of his technique. The principle remains the same. Economy of motion, predictive positioning, muscle memory over conscious thought. Danny survived the war, made it through France, Belgium, and into Germany. He was awarded the Silver Star for his actions near Carentan, though he rarely wore it. After the war, he went back to Pittsburgh, reopened his father's grocery store, raised 3 kids, and never talked much about what happened. But sometimes, late at night, his hands would move in his sleep, reaching, grabbing, loading shells that weren't there anymore. History remembered what he did, even if he tried to forget. The Sherman that carried him through that morning, hull number 2031 to 489, sits today in the National Armor and Cavalry Museum at Fort Moore, Georgia. The turret still bears the scorch marks. The ammo racks still show his chalk marks. And every loader who walks past it knows the name Kowalski.